Hello and welcome to another YouTube video. So today we have an IBM server that I got as a birthday gift. It is an IBM System x3250 with a dual-core Intel Xeon 3050 in it, and I already have this all set up and everything. It's been on my network for, probably a little over a week now, and it's been really fun to get set up. I've really enjoyed working with it. And yeah, so let's go ahead and look at the ports and things. So here we have a bunch of like status indicators and stuff. So we have a power LED, which is flashing because it is powered but not on. A power button, a reset button, a hard drive indicator LED, a locator LED, and a fault LED. Next to that we have two USB ports, and under that we have a DVD reader and CD-RW writer drive. And then this server came with the option for two 3.5-inch drives, which both bays are populated. They came populated with 160 gigabyte SATA drives, although I think this is actually a SAS backplane because it identifies itself as having an LSI Logic SAS controller, which is a RAID controller, and these drives are in a mirrored configuration. And I won't be bringing the server around to show you the back because that would be really difficult considering I already have it like set up and everything, and also the server is pretty heavy. But around back there are two PCI Express X8 expansion slots, one of which is a half height like low profile drive or low profile slot, and one is a like 3/4 height full profile slot. This has a single power supply, and even if it had multiple, I would only have one plugged in because I don't really have the infrastructure for, redundant power supplies. This also has dual gigabit Ethernet NICs, two USB ports on the back as well, a serial port. It has inbuilt video. It's basic ATI video with 16 megabytes of video RAM. And it has PS2 ports as well. And then it also has a management port, which is not active on this unit because it requires the presence of an add-in unit, which is named the Remote Supervisor Adapter 2 Slimline, which, if that isn't a name for an IBM add-on product, I don't know what is. Being very familiar with ThinkPads, it sounds a lot like, a lot of the add-ons you can get for ThinkPads. But that is not active on this because it does not have that add-in card. So yeah, I have video hooked up for this first little bit of the video because I want to show you the BIOS and everything, but most of the time I do not run this with video attached just because I just telnet into it. So let's get a keyboard attached and I will show you what the boot up process looks like. So I now have a keyboard attached and the camera trained on the video display. So I'm going to press the power button now with my sputter stick thing. But first, before I do that, I do have to say, this server is very loud. Not out of the ordinary for, 1U rack equipment, but it's louder than a standard desktop computer, louder than anything that I have had on my channel before. So with that said, let's power it up. And it takes a few seconds for anything to display on screen. So yeah, this has, I'm hitting F1, this has 2 gigabytes of RAM, dual core processor, dual core Xeon detected, and here it is initializing both Unix and the LSI Logic SAS card. And it should show the logical array that that is set up. There we go. And come on. Here we are in the BIOS, the setup utility. And yeah, so like it's all very, you know, standard system information. Yeah. So yeah, there's honestly not much to look at here. But so I want to exit the setup utility, and here we have the Solaris grub menu, which it will automatically boot. And now it will boot into Solaris 10. And even though I don't run this headless, I do have dtlogin still enabled because of something that I will show later. But yeah, so there's that. I will now take us over to my Ultra 5 because this is about all I do when I interact with the server at the server. I just really turn it on, and most of the stuff I actually do to interact with it is at, you know, some other computer. So here we are at my Ultra 5. My Ultra 5 is down below. So now I'm just gonna boot that up. And, you know, the screen should come on with the open boot prompt in a second. And I think this is the first time my Ultra 5 has been on a video in a very long time. But, so yeah, let's just boot into Solaris, because that is where, like, that is where I can show off how I actually connect to the server. And here we go. So this is just standard CDE. But this is Solaris on my Ultra 5. So to connect to the server, I'm going to bring up a terminal window, and then I can either rlogin or telnet. And I'm going to use the host name because I have a functional DNS server on my network. But I can also use the IP address. So here I am in the server. The text is really tiny and I can't really get much closer. But anyway, that's one of the limitations of filming with a phone, I guess. So yeah, I'm in the server. There's a lot of the stuff that you really do is like administration. So like in the case of this server, a lot of it is file server and boot server stuff. So like here's my entire TFTP boot directory, which is basically all TFTP loaders, because my Mac Mini G4 acts as a DHCP server. I actually went over the basic setup in a previous video, but things have changed slightly since that video, where my Mac Mini G4 still acts as a DHCP server, but now the actual like loading and hosting has been shunted over to this server. And how I can do that is by setting the next server parameter in the dhcpd.conf file on my Mac Mini. So now my Mac Mini tells any Pixie boot clients look at this other server for any of the boot files it needs. So yeah, and the other way I thing I use the server for a lot now is NFS. So you can see I have a bunch of exported file systems. But yeah, that's basically all I need to do in terms of administration on this server. Honestly, now that I have the basics done, a lot of it is pretty set and forget. I can just power on the server, and then issue whatever have whatever client I need to boot from. Have boot from it, just issue the requests. And basically, the Solaris management console is a way to graphically administer Solaris Solaris systems. So just last night I was in this to configure the serial ports, because this does have a serial port on it. The server does, and I wanted to enable it to be able to log in. So yeah, that's all for remote administration in that regard. Now I shall shut down and show that the server actually works, that I can actually boot from here. And I will do 2 different demonstrations. One is Solaris Jumpstart, because that is, that is a very important part of this, is being able to do Solaris Jumpstart. But then also, I will use my Dell Optiplex to jump to Pixie boot, because that's another part of it, is being able to Pixie boot. So let's just turn this back on. So now, instead of doing boot, I will do boot net, and it will load the TFTP boot loader from the server, and then it will load the actual installer, like the kernel and the installer from that. And I'm just looking over at the server's hard drive activity LED, and it is flashing. You know, in a way, this sort of feels like, you know, some sort of, almost like it's coming full circle, because, one of the very first times, actually I think the very first time, that, this Ultra 5 was shown on any of my content creation platforms, it was, network booting as well. Which makes sense. But I know way more about network booting now than I did at the time. Like, I have set up numerous network boot environments for different operating systems. You know, now I have a dedicated server to it. It is really cool that I'm able to do this. And yeah, now it's just running some basic, like, system identification stuff. Most of which you can actually get over DHCP, which is really cool, because I do, have, you know, DHCP server enabled to, give it things like domain name, DHCP servers, things like that. So anyway, the installer is basically loaded. There's not really much more that I need to show with this. So yeah, now I'm going to take you over to my Dell Optiplex, and I'm going to pixie boot Linux from that. So here we are over at my Dell Optiplex, and as you can see, I have the one-time boot menu opened up, and so I'm just going to go down to onboard network controller, and it will start the Intel boot agent. The DHCP server is 192.168.1.150.155 or 1.2, 150.2, you know. And then now it is loading Pixie Linux. Truthfully, I don't understand why it always takes so long. But yeah, so now if I hit tab, it will give me all the options. And for this demonstration, because you already saw Debian booting in a different video, let's just go with Oracle 6.10, which is Oracle Linux version 6.10. And so now it's loading from the server. So choose the language, English, US key map, NFS directory. NFS server name is Balthazar-2. And now it should load. And then on the bottom it says running Anaconda. And here we are at Oracle Linux 6 setup. Basic storage devices. And it already got that from the network. But yeah, I'm not gonna actually install this on my Optiplex, but yeah, this is Pixie Boot from my IBM server in action. And now for one final thing that I actually just found out about last night, and this is why I have dtlogin enabled on the server, is that I go down to Options, Remote Login, choose Host from List. I can actually choose that server and hit OK, and it will basically act as a thin client almost for the server, which is really cool. And I don't think this is. I think this is something with CDE, not dtlogin, not something Sun specific. But I'll have to. I guess I'll just have to get more OSs running that use CDE to find out. But yeah, so now I can type in my username and my password. And I mean, you can use either Java Desktop System or CDE, but I chose to use CDE in this case because it's faster in a lot of ways. But yeah, so now if I go to System Info, you can see Europa, Balthazar 2, IP address, physical RAM, virtual RAM, yeah. Operating system SunOS 5, release 5.10, type i86PC. So yeah, that is something really cool to me. I absolutely love it. I think it's such a cool feature. And then if I hit logout, it returns me to this screen, and I can say return to login screen. And yeah, I think that's just super cool. I absolutely love that feature. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video. It was a bit of a short one, but I really like this piece of network infrastructure I have now. I've wanted a Solaris server like this for so long, and I'm really happy I was able to finally get one. So yeah, I still have ideas for the videos that I've talked about in previous videos that I want to do, but I haven't been able to do those yet, and I wanted to get a video out for y'all. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a good evening.